welcome to today's video. I am the Dollar Bin Diver. In my videos, I like to share my newest hobby / addiction, which is collecting, reading comic books, and sharing anything comic book related. As you can tell with my setup, I also like to share a little bit of another hobby of mine, which is bourbon tasting, bourbon sampling. But today I'm showing off my recent haul at a local flea market, peddler's mall, whatever you may call it, and a little bit of some Facebook claims from a vendor I've mentioned before, which is Kirby's Comics. So, starting off, here is Wolverine, issue 76. I don't collect the Wolverine as heavy. I don't find them as often in the dollar bins anymore, but this was just a nice looking cover. I had to grab it, and for $1, I figured why not add to my Wolverine run. So, moving on, I'm going to jump into a not dollar book, but I came across the Free Comic Book Day Batman 0 Point Fortnite crossover comic, which I guess is also issue 1, and found it to be just a fun read. I have played Fortnite, and it's a polarizing game, I guess, but it has its fun quirks. And issue 1 really brought some of those quirks into the comic, and using Batman's character, it was a fun read. So when I found this one, I had to break my rule and going over $1 to grab it. I'm excited to jump into it. All right, moving on though. Here is Avengers Disassembled. This is issue 500. Brian Michael Bendis. I guess I'm a little all over the place with my numbering on my Avengers here, but moving on, here is issue 465. This is also issue 50 of the, I believe, 3rd volume by Busiek. And I guess I'm counting down. And moving on is issue, I believe, 391. I am just obsessed, I guess, with the Avengers runs. I currently am collecting any and all up to a certain point. Some of the latest I'm collecting currently is the Hickman run. This is issue 33. I believe I have the first dozen or more, some in the 20s, now some in the 30s, and I'm actually really excited to have that run completed. I've had many people tell me that is one of the better jumping off points for Avengers, especially moving forward, I do believe. So, speaking of moving forward, let's move on to the next one that I have found, which is Punisher War Journal, issue 17. The Punisher takes a vacation, and Hawaii will never be the same. Again, one thing I like about collecting from here is I sometimes get an extra comic for that $1 price. I actually do not know anything about this. Iron Man special. Issue number 1, but it's part 2 of 3 of No End in Sight. If anyone knows more about this, feel free to comment and let me know. I will be doing my own research as well, I guess. Okay, moving on to some older type stuff. This is Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts, issue number 4. Doctor Strange meets death. I don't know as much about this one, but being early in that run, I'm excited to just jump into it. I don't think I'm going to try to collect that whole run before I start reading it. And here's moving on into another 80s book, The Invincible Iron Man, issue 144. What is this? Can even the Golden Avengers' new armor stop Starwell from crashing to Earth, the trial and the tragedy. Interesting. And a special bonus, never before revealed, Shellhead's first adventure in Vietnam. That might be an interesting one to just jump into. I don't believe I need to have a run to enjoy that one. So, moving on though, here is the first Cap book that I got in this run, or got in this this trip here. This is issue 366, and I'm actually going to do a countdown, because there is 302, Machete Means Mayhem. I don't know much about this character, or this part of the run, but I do have several issues before and after, so I believe I have a partial run there. Make that a fun little read. Now here is one that I was excited to find. From 1979, issue 243 of Captain America. Gotta love that red, white, and blue title there. When Captain America dies, I will gain life eternal. And now, Adonis. Gotta love some of that Captain America stuff. Okay. Now, moving on to some Spidey. Web of Spider-Man, issue 127, Maximum Clonage, part 2 of 6. I know this is a crossover event. I don't remember which other were with it, but I do know I have a couple of those already. So I might be close to having that crossover run completed, and that could be a fun read. Now, I had to save this one after. This is issue 90 of Web of Spider-Man. It feels very 90s to me. Most of you may know, Web, Spectacular, and Amazing Spider-Man had these foil covers at the same time. So that 30th anniversary giant-sized. I believe that's actually a collector's item. I'm going to be reading it as well. So, back into 1978 with Marvel Tales starring Spider-Man. This is issue 101. Jameson, that thing is... What is it? It's my son. The Mark of the Man-Wolf. That should be a fun read for me. And Marvel Tales 104. Very nice. And Dark Wings of Death. Now, I know some of these Marvel Tales are reprints or retellings of some of the original Amazing Spider-Man stories, and then some are original stories. So I'm curious to see where these fall. Speaking of the Amazing Spider-Man, I did find one issue 189, Marvel's TV sensation. You're helpless, Jameson. Nothing can save you now, he says. Wanna bet, Bunky? Oh my goodness. Who is the Mystery Menace? Perhaps I will open up and find out. Okay, moving on. One of the last issues that I had gotten this claim sale was What If the Avengers Lost the Evolutionary War? The Evolutionary War being one of the annual crossovers. I believe I am within one issue of having it completed, and I'm excited to read the main event, and then perhaps I can read What If. And that's actually issue number 1 of the, I believe it's 1990s What If, the Avengers What If. Okay. So, for me, one of the cooler things on this recent find was 2 issues of XMen. Really bad condition, but for $1, I could not pass it up. As you can tell, this is a coverless copy. Really beat up, but for me, getting the opportunity to read in paper some early XMen. I don't know if you can see here, this is volume 1. This is issue number 66. And this came out Oh, where did the date go? I don't know if you can see there, but 1970. Very nice. The most unusual fighting team of all time, Mutants and the Monster. Okay, and then the last one. As you can tell, the trade dress was ripped off. A lot of times you would see this with newsstands. They would rip that off when they were pulled off to be returned. You can tell, you can see on the sticker here, this is Uncanny X-Men. This was volume number 1. That was issue number 53, which came out in 1968. I believe these are the earliest X-Men comics that I own, and I'm excited with them being in real rough condition. I do not feel bad about opening them up and reading these stories. So a great little haul today, and here lately with these claim sales. I figured some of these comics I claimed and were my own picks, so I'm gonna go back with my my own treated bourbon here. I believe this is just a cheap Kentucky Gentleman bourbon whiskey that I have added a bourbon bullet to and letting it rest in the decanter. That supposedly helps it to age and give more flavor. I do know it's one of the smoothest bourbon whiskeys that I have currently. So, alright, well, thank you for watching my video today. Please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.